a few things, because, one of them's a current event, one of them's a historical event, but then it relates to something that I think, needs to be said about some online stuff. So let's start off, first of all, Kim Iversen. I really like her show. I really like Kim Iverson's show. She's a little bit of a conservative sometimes, but she's a critic of the endless wars. She's a critic of the government, and she actually did a really, really good segment. I didn't know what this segment was going to be. I saw the video and the headline on the video, and I thought it said, "Unbelievable. Democrat critics raided by FBI accused of being Russian agents." And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Well, this is the segment that she ran. I'm going to show you the first little bit of it, because I am so glad that she ran this segment. I mean, I am overjoyed that she ran this segment. Take a look at this.
This week, journalist Matt Taibbi exposed in the latest Twitter Files drop a shocking truth about the manipulation by Democrats to create a narrative of Russian interference, even when they're told over and over there was no evidence of their claims. Essentially, what we've learned is Democrats and the mainstream media have gaslit the American public into believing there's a greater threat of Russian misinformation than there actually is. This has led to grave consequences for many Americans. Many have been subjected to social media censorship and a violation of their First Amendment rights. Some are labeled as Russian assets and demonized. And worse, some face being investigated, raided by the FBI, and threatened with indictments by the Department of Justice. Many people believe this is only happening to right-wing Trump supporters, but in reality, it seems to be happening to anyone who's against Democrats' agenda. For Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the members of the Uruhu movement and the African People's Socialist Party, this is not just a theoretical threat. They say they were the targets of a terrifying early morning FBI raid in which their homes were stormed by flash grenades, drones, armored tanks, and armed FBI agents. Now they're facing the possibility of being indicted by the DOJ. For what? Well, apparently for being Russian agents. Just so you understand the absurdity of this claim, let me tell you a little bit about them. The Uruhu movement, established in 1972, is led by the African People's Socialist Party. Their political theory, African internationalism, asserts that capitalism is a form of imperialism that exploits the African people. The movement advocates for the release of African prisoners in the U.S., which they refer to as concentration camps, and views U.S. police forces as an illegitimate standing army. In the 90s, the group frequently protested against police brutality towards African Americans. In 2008, they interrupted Barack Obama during a town hall meeting and questioned him on issues affecting the African community, such as police brutality, high unemployment, predatory lending, and Hurricane Katrina. The group has been criticized by the Anti-Defamation League for being anti-Israel and anti-Zionist. So you can see this group has a long history of protesting and speaking up against various U.S. policies. Their angst is nothing new, and it's not newly directed towards Democrats. And even though this group has been around protesting for over 50 years, they're now being accused of sowing division in American life and accused of being directed by Russia. Joining us now is chairman of the organization.
So awesome. That's Chairman Omali of the African People's Socialist Party. She had him on. Kim Iversen had her on her show. That is so awesome. This is great. This is awesome. This is how things are developing, right? Where there's a layer of people that are against the deep state and what it's doing. And Kim Iversen had Chairman Omali on her show. This is awesome.
And Omali Yeshitela. Chairman, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so very much for having us.
So I want to start with the raid that happened on your house back in July. Tell us what happened and what was the justification by the FBI to raid your home in this way?
Well, my wife and I were up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Because we have a program that we had initiated training African women to be doulas. St. Louis, you may know, is a city where enough African babies or black babies die in the first year of life to fill 14 kindergarten classrooms. So we initiated this, one of the programs that of the 50 or more programs we've initiated dealing with this question. And she was preparing because that morning the training was to begin for the doulas. And so we were sitting around talking, and out of the dark, this racket hit us. At first, it was someone on a loudspeaker commanding whomever was in this house to come out with your hands up and nothing in your hands. And then immediately these grenades, flashbang grenades, began to go off. Actually, one of them in the rear stairwell of our home. And they throughout the neighborhood, these bangings were happening. So I went downstairs and asked my wife to wait and call people and tell them we were being attacked. I get downstairs and I'm confronted with this array, of military forces. These were military forces wearing flak jackets and carrying assault weapons, and the assault weapons were mounted with laser targeting beams that were bouncing off my chest when I came downstairs. My wife couldn't reach anybody because they had jammed our phones. So when she came downstairs following me, she was nearly hit in the face when she opened the door by a drone that they had sent up the stairwell going into our home. When we get outside, I'm questioning them, what is going on? Why are you doing this? They zip tie me behind my back. When my wife gets downstairs, they put handcuffs on her behind her back. And then they said that because of my persistent questioning, they said they were there because they were serving a search warrant because a Russian national was going to be indicted later that day in Tampa, Florida. And so I asked to see the search warrant. They said, well, we don't have it right now, but it's somewhere around. And then let me see the indictment. They said, well, they can't show you that because that's going to be later today when the indictment occurs. And so they took my cell phone, took my wife's cell phone. They went into our home. They knocked down doors. They stole computers and iPads and the like. At the same time, they were doing this in North St. Louis, which is the most impoverished sector of the city. And I live on one of the most impoverished streets in that city. At the same time they were doing this, they went across town and then they attacked the center that we have there that's mostly in the white community, organized by white people, run by white people who work in the white community to win unity between the white community and the struggles that black people are involved in for reparations and etc. They used battering rams. They knocked down the doors there. They went to the apartment upstairs. They held a young couple at gunpoint, one of whom, Jesse Neville, is considered an unindicted co-conspirator, as I am. They went then to the home of Penny Hess, another so-called unindicted co-conspirator, and her roommate. They attacked the house. They knocked down doors, windows. They went to St. Petersburg, Florida, where there's an Uhura house there as well. They knocked the doors down. They took our radio station briefly off the air. And scores of FBI agents, armed FBI agents invaded. They raided the place. They stole all kinds of documents and electronic devices. That they went into our archives with 40 or 50 years of archived materials of the struggle of black people, and we don't know how much they took there. And then they went to the home in St. Petersburg. They used the St. Petersburg, Florida Police Department to knock on the door of this young woman. Her name is Eritha Akile Kenyon. They went to her home, knocked on the door, and told her, the police, that someone is breaking into your car. You need to come out and investigate this. They got her outside. When they got her outside, then FBI agents come from everywhere. They surround her. They steal her cell phone. They attempted to interrogate her on the spot, and more or less that's what's happening. So what we learned later is that the FBI again has indicted this man in Russia, and they said that I was an agent of the Russians. That I went to Moscow, attended a conference in Moscow, invited there by a non-governmental organization to be on this conference for people from all around the world who were dealing with the question of self-determination. So they said, I did this and became, or either was when it happened, or became at that time, or later on, some agent for Russia. They are convinced this is the case, they said, because we also ran elections, campaigned in St. Petersburg, Florida in 2017 and 2019. We were raising the question of reparations to black people. We were raising the question of black community control of the police that were killing us all around the country as they are today.
All right. So, I just wanted you all to hear him describing the raid on his house and what was done and how this group of black revolutionary activists were targeted this way when it was dark outside, 5 a.m, storming into their house with drones and weapons, dragging them away, handcuffing them and all of that. This is a pretty serious situation, in the name of alleging that this group of black activists are working for Russia. The U.S. government, terrorized them this way, and they are currently expecting that they will be indicted with some kind of crime. That's what they are expecting. This is very, very, very serious. And this is the kind of thing that we talk about on these streams. At our conference, at the Center for Political Innovation Conference in Chicago, we gave a platform to the Uhuru movement. They got up on our stage, they spoke, they were our honored guests. We celebrated them, and they were honored guests there. We stand in solidarity. There's a group of black revolutionaries being targeted by the U.S. government because they are anti-imperialist, because they stand with Russia in this Ukraine, debacle. And because of that, we stood with them because we are serious. When it matters, we are on the side of the oppressed. We are against this. And you'll notice that all these various woke people, all these people that claim they love Fred Hampton, they're not saying anything about it. But I want to, at risk, I think this picture is okay, right? But it's a little bit of a risk for me to put this on here. If they block my stream for this, I don't know what I'll do, but I think it's okay. This is a very famous photograph from American history. And I think I can get away with showing it on here. And many of you have probably seen this photo before. It's a very famous photograph. You ever see that photo before? Have folks ever seen that photograph? It's a very famous photograph. It's photographed from May 4th of 1970. And this was at Kent State University. And Kent State University is a small liberal college in Ohio. It's a small liberal, college. It's not even really it's a state school. I wouldn't call it liberal. It's just a small college in Ohio. And just like many, many other colleges around the country, when people found out that the Vietnam War had expanded to Cambodia, there were a lot of protests that went on. The students were very angry. Many young people were being drafted to fight in the Vietnam War. I actually wrote about this in my recent book. I have an article, that I wrote about, kind of summarizing the Kent State massacre for the anniversary. But yeah, it was May 4th, 1970, and a number of students were protesting against expanding the U.S. war to Cambodia. They were protesting, and there was some vandalism. A building got destroyed, like a military recruiting building got destroyed. So they sent the National Guard, the military, to the college, and they put the college under martial law. And the students were, their college was like occupied by the military. But every day they would have anti-war protests to counter the military. So one day, the National Guard just opened fire into the crowd and killed 4 college students. Killed them and just murdered them. And the students that were protesting did not have any weapons. They didn't have guns. They didn't have any. They were like 90 feet away from the soldiers. They were just protesting. And the National Guard opened fire on them and killed them in Kent, Ohio. And it was the Kent State Massacre. And there was 4 students that were killed. There were a number of people who, were shot through the hand or shot in the back. There was somebody who was disabled for life. He was in a wheelchair for life. It was a horrendous incident. And a couple days later, there were students at Jackson State University in Mississippi who were protesting, and the police opened fire and killed 2 of them. But that was May 4th, 1970. And I grew up very close to Kent, Ohio. I grew up in a small town in the area. I was about 15, maybe 25 minutes away from Kent, Ohio, right? And I was a kid, and I was a kid in the 90s, right? So I was a kid like 30 years after this happened. But every year around May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd, I would start to hear my teachers and my class, my classmates' parents and old people always would try to say that these young students deserved to die. I would hear it constantly. I would constantly hear when I was a kid that they deserved to die because they were disrespecting our troops. They were disrespecting the military. They were against America, and they deserved to die. I heard this every year, all my whole life in my little town. All the boomers who had grown up down around then and were, angry and upset about it. I would hear as a kid from the time I was in elementary school, it was a small age up until high school. I would always hear that these students deserved to die. Now that young man who's dead there, that his body is there, that's Jeffrey Miller. And Jeffrey Miller was from Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in Brooklyn and he went to Kent, Ohio to study, and he went to the anti-war protest and they shot him. The other woman, who was shot at the protest, right? There was another young woman who was protesting. Her name was Allison Krauss, and she was shot at the protest as well. There were two other students who were killed, and they weren't protesters. They were hit by stray bullets. They weren't part of the protest. But every year I would hear about how, Jeffrey Miller and Allison Krauss, they were disrespecting our troops. They were disrespecting America. They deserved to die. The anti-war protesters were disgusting, unpatriotic, anti-American, drug-using hippies who, and they needed to be killed. They should have shot more of them. I heard this my whole life. I heard this, right? I heard this constantly, and it was just constantly told to me that these young people deserve to die. One thing that was particularly vulgar is that Allison Krauss, now this is Jeffrey Miller, he was the young man who was protesting, was shot. Allison Krauss was, she was from the Ohio area, and she was a young woman who was an activist. Yes, no relation to Allison Krauss, the country musician. She was shot, and I would always hear people talk about how Allison Krauss, she deserved it. She was a slut. She said she would sleep with anyone who wouldn't fight in Vietnam, stuff like that. And they would always just try to say it was okay. It was okay. They deserved to die because they were leftists and they were criticizing U.S. foreign policy. They were against America or whatever, and they deserved to die. And I heard that over and over and over again, And, it's funny because there's a lot of people who ask me why I became a communist. And the answer I generally give people is I talk about, my mom was a librarian and she went on strike. And when I was a kid, I learned what a union was and stuff. But I got to say that picture and growing up in the environment, hearing people just constantly say they deserve to die because they were disrespecting America, I think that seeing how evil U.S. imperialism can really be. Not only did they kill millions and millions of people in Vietnam, but then when some young college students went out to protest and oppose it, they murdered them, and then, all these people think, well, they deserved it because they were disrespecting America. They were criticizing the government. They deserved it, Hearing that's what U.S. imperialism really is. I mean, you just heard about how they're pointing guns in the faces of black revolutionaries, terrorizing a group of black revolutionaries because of their anti-war stance, and they're opposing the U.S. wars. You see what they did at Kent State University. They massacred these young people. I've always been very, very serious about what we do here, right? And we can stop showing that photo, but I've always been very, very serious about this. I take this really seriously. And that is why I risked my life on a ship trying to bring medical aid to the people of Yemen. And that's why I worked with Ramsey Clark, the former U.S. Attorney General, who became an anti-war activist and was the lawyer of Saddam Hussein. And that's why I got arrested in protests. And that's why I work in anti-imperialist media. I work with RT now. I worked with Press TV from Iran before that. I take this seriously. And I am committed to standing up to these people. And, when I see what they've done to the Uhuru movement, I support the Uhuru movement. When I see what they did to the Vietnamese people, I support the people of Vietnam. When I see what they do all over the world to the Palestinians, what they've doing to the people of Yemen right now, and they're doing to the people of Donbass, let's show another photo that mainstream media won't show us, right? Let's show another photo. Let me pull up the photo that they'll never show us on mainstream media that needs to be shown. This is another photo, right? Here's a photo that mainstream media, I've showed it to you all many times, but it needs to be shown again. These are all the children in Donbass who've been killed over the past 8 years. For 8 years, the government of Ukraine, the US-backed Kiev government, has been bombing and murdering the people of Donbass, the people of Donetsk, the people of Lugansk, and they've been pouring more and more money into them, into the Kiev government, and it's been slaughtering these people. And they've been hiding in their basements for 8 years. These are all the children. These are the children under the age of 12 who've been murdered by the American government and by the Kiev government and by Zelensky. These are all the people these are all the children Zelensky has killed. And he thinks they're his own people, right? He thinks that that's what they're fighting over. Those regions have voted to break with the government that's been slaughtering them for years. And now, Russia is moving in to protect them at this point. And they've been slaughtering them. And nobody cares about these people. There's all this grandstanding. Oh, my God, pray for the children of Ukraine and all that. What about these people? 8 years. 8 years they've been killing these people. These children have been dying for 8 years, and no one cares about them because CNN didn't tell them to, because Fox News didn't tell them to, because MSNBC didn't tell them to. These children don't care. They don't matter, right? Just like they said that the students at Kent State University deserved to die, just like no one's talking about the Uhuru movement. No one is talking about the children of Donetsk. No one is talking about the children of Lugansk, right? And that is why I do what I do. I know who the greatest mass murderers and killers in the world are. It's U.S. imperialism. It's Wall Street and London. They are the biggest mass murderers and terrorists and killers in the world. They've killed millions of people in Vietnam. They killed millions of people on the Korean Peninsula. They killed millions of people in Iraq based on the lie of weapons of mass destruction. They have barricaded Cuba and prevented people, from getting medical equipment, and they've barricaded Cuba and waged a war against the Cuban people. They sent terrorists and Contras to Nicaragua and El Salvador, and you wonder why there's all these drug gangs in Latin America. It's because American weapons have been flowing down there to fight against communism for decade after decade after decade. They've killed millions of people. They killed millions of people in the Philippines. They've killed, there is not a corner of this world where they've not backed ugly coups and massacres, where they've not been torturing people and slaughtering people, and nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about them because it's not trending, right? Nobody cares about them because it's not cool, because mainstream media and Twitter and Facebook didn't tell them to care about them. I'm in this because I'm serious. I'm serious. And I got to say, that is why I am so angry. I am so angry about stuff like this. Well, I'm not going to show it to you yet. I'm just going to say this. It was knowing about stuff like this that made me a socialist, that made me a revolutionary Marxist and an anti-imperialist. I knew that in Vietnam, the Vietnamese people fighting for their National Liberation Front were the good guys, and that Wall Street and the Pentagon were the bad guys. And I knew that in Nicaragua, the people of Nicaragua and the Sandinistas were the good guys, and Wall Street and the Contras, they were the bad guys. And I knew that in Iraq, it was their country, and the Iraqi people had the right to fight back and protect their country after the U.S. imperialists invaded and attacked. And I am with the people of the world resisting this horrendous monster called U.S. imperialism. And I am, very proud of the work that I do working with RT. I'm very proud of the work I've done with Press TV. I'm very proud to have articles published on china.org.cn. I'm very proud of any anti-imperialist work, having gone to Venezuela and Nicaragua and stood with the people there. I am against U.S. imperialism. I am against the system of monopoly capitalism that is grinding countries around the world into poverty, that is murdering people all over the world. I am on the side of the people, and I'm against Wall Street imperialism. And I'm very serious about it. And I've dedicated my life to trying not just to yell about it on YouTube and not just to make, news reports and write articles and books about it, but to actually build an organization. Because I believe that not only is this system that is murdering people all over the world bad for the people of the world, it's also bad for America. It's bad for the working families of this country. I think about all the communities in this country that don't have proper drinking water, the highways and bridges that are falling apart. I think about all the people in America who don't have the health care that they need, who, lose their homes and lose their cars because of medical debt. I think about all of that, and I think about how the American people, we have been ripped off and lied to. They've told us that all these wars and the big global system, what they call globalism, capitalism and its monopoly stage of imperialism, they've told us that, oh, this is good. This is good for us. We're beneficiaries. We are not beneficiaries. We have a low life expectancy. Living conditions are getting worse. The diseases of despair, the suicide rate, the opioid epidemic, they're destroying our country as well. This evil system of capitalism and its monopoly stage, imperialism, this evil system is destroying the whole world. And it's in a meltdown right now. It's in a meltdown right now. And what we need more than anything is an anti-imperialist movement in America. That's what we need. We need an anti-imperialist movement in America. And it's not easy, All right. It's not easy to build an organization. It's risky. It's very easy to just shout on the internet. It's very easy to just be angry at the world. But we need to build a community of solidarity. We need to build an organization that can actually bring people together and resist all of this. We need to bring people together and build a real community of resistance. There needs to be people like us. There needs to be people like us who support each other and protect each other and help lift up each other's voices. We need to build a community. We need to build a community around these ideas. And I'm committed to that. I'm very, very, very committed to doing that. I am very, very committed to doing that. This isn't just a form of online entertainment. This is something that needs to be done. There needs to be anti-imperialist communities and a movement of solidarity and anti-imperialism and socialism here in America. And that is why the fact that I have made so many sacrifices for this. My family, there's relatives I have who don't talk to me. My family is not, my family's never really been supportive of my career or the work that I do. They're not thrilled with who their son grew up into being. I've lost friends. I've had political repression in my life. I won't go into detail about. A lot of things have happened to me because of this, but this is what I believe in. This is the stance that I'm going to take. I am fully committed to this. And yes, I will meet with anybody. I will meet with anyone who is standing against U.S. imperialism. I will meet with Alexander Dugin. I will meet with the Iranian Ayatollahs and Khamenei. I've been in the same room as the supreme leader of Iran. And that's what you do. If you're up against a monster so evil as U.S. imperialism, you do that. Right? It's your duty to do that, to unite with whoever can be united with in order to defeat a great enemy. I take this seriously, and I'm committed to building a real organization. I know that there are people here in America who can understand, and if there's ever been a time for us to build a community of resistance to what U.S. imperialism is doing, it's now. It's now. If there's ever been a time, it's now. When the economy is falling apart, when anti-war sentiments are through the roof, we need to do this, and we need to do it right so we win. And I take this really, really seriously. And that is why I am so sick and tired. I am so sick and tired of crap like this. I really have very little tolerance for this.
Spooky, scary socialists shall seize the sovereign state. Working poles will shock your soul and seal your class's fate. Spooky, scary socialists in solidarity. Marxists marching on and on, together can't be beat.
Sorry about this, capitalist, you have had your fun. Now it's time to socialize the means of production.
The spooky, scary socialists shall workers all unite. We come together, raise our fists and demonstrate our might.
How should we split up all this Halloween candy?
We must erect a central governing body to distribute it as needed to the masses.
No way! The people should have free and open access to all candy.
Without the vanguard, how will we prevent counter-revolution?
Who the hell are these people? Who the hell are these people? It infuriates me. My whole life, I've been advocating socialism. I've been promoting socialism. I've been, taking anti-imperialist stances because I'm serious about it, because it needs to be done, right? And it didn't used to be cool to be a socialist. I'll tell you that much, the amount of, my God, didn't used to be trendy or hip to be a leftist or be a socialist. It used to be quite unpopular. When I was in college, I did work around police brutality. I would go to court with police brutality victims, and I would tell people at my mostly white kind of conservative college in the Cleveland suburbs, I would tell them about it. And they'd say, that's not true. There's no such thing as police brutality. My uncle's a cop. He said that police brutality doesn't happen. And, black people just say that because they want money from the government. And I was taking serious stances, and I was going to demonstrations, and you can read about me. They wrote articles about the fact that I video recorded. I'll send you, this is an article that was about me in Cleveland Scene magazine, right? They published an article, The Communist Next Door, about how I video recorded an act of police brutality. And the victim of this act of police brutality got acquitted in court because of my video. And I was heavily involved in the struggle against police brutality back in 2010, before it was cool, before it was all over television, before it was trendy and hip. I was talking. Go and read this article. I've got receipts. This is in the mainstream bourgeois press. They were talking about Caleb, the communist next door in Cleveland, who was videotaping acts of police brutality against African-American high school students and exposing them, right? My record. I have been doing this stuff my whole adult life. I'm 35 years old. From the time I was under 18 to now, I have been trying my hardest to promote socialism, reading and studying Marxism, trying to build Marxist organizations. And I take this seriously, and I've made great sacrifices for it. I have been arrested, I have been intimidated, I have lost relationships, I have suffered for this. And I have risked my life internationally. I have taken this seriously. Where did this trash come from? Where did this garbage come from? I have been here my whole life doing this, and this garbage just appears out of nowhere. And these people, it's all about puppets, and it's all silly. And of course, they don't support the people of Cuba. They don't support the people of Venezuela. They don't support the people of Donbass. They're not talking about the Alley of Angels. It's just all just fun game. It's all just a big fun game to them. And of course, they call me a Nazi. How am I a Nazi? I was protesting police brutality when Luna Oy was, a prepubescent child. And they call me a Nazi because these garbage people, these are garbage. This is garbage. BreadTube is garbage. This is garbage. These are garbage human beings. They have nothing to do with our movement, nothing to do with what we stand for. They support U.S. imperialism. They support Wall Street and its war against the people of Eastern Ukraine. And out of nowhere, they're just all over. And this is what it means to be a socialist. It doesn't mean doing what I've done my whole life and taking risks and understanding anti-imperialism and having relationships with the communists around the world. Oh, no, it means, being a fool. It means being an idiot and looking like this. This is what it means to be a socialist now, right? And these people then want to tell you that I'm some kind of Nazi. I am not a fucking Nazi. I have been a leftist and a revolutionary my whole adult life. I have alliances and connections with real revolutionary movements around the world. And I mean, and this is what they want you to think a socialist is. This is trash. This is garbage. This is disgusting, right? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, do you the FBI is storming into the homes of black revolutionaries, and this is what you're doing? You're playing with puppets? That's what you're talking about? You're playing with puppets while the FBI is storming into the homes of Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party? You know, I mean, you're dancing around and acting silly with your puppets there. You know, while they're bombing the people of Eastern Ukraine and you know, moving us toward World War III, and you're just dancing around silly in your witch costume. Who the fuck are these people? Where did they come from? Right? And how the hell did they get to be in charge and get to start declaring who's a socialist and who's a fascist just for agreeing with them? This is trash, right? And we have to be 100% opposed to this stuff. There's no compromise with these people. I tried to be friendly with them. I thought, hey, okay, there's a group of people on the internet and they're, you know, claiming to believe in the ideology I believe in. They don't seem to really understand it at all, and they're not really anti-imperialist, but maybe I can engage with them. No, you can't engage with them. You can't engage with them. They call me a Nazi. They call me a fascist. They've tried to destroy my reputation. They have gotten me into a situation where I fear for my safety. You know, when I go to leftist events, because they've spread all over the internet that I'm somehow the same as a white supremacist, right? So not only are these people not standing with the people of the world, not only are these people, you know, not anti-imperialists, not only are they clowns who don't take this seriously, but on top of that, they actually are helping to set the stage for police state repression against people like me, right? I mean, it is beyond me, right? It is beyond me. How are these people so vile and disgusting? And I mean, they are the enemy. BreadTube is the enemy. You know, the Uhuru movement, when they got raided by the FBI, we had them at our conference. We gave them a platform because we're against the U.S. state and its political repression. And Vaush said on his stream that they were the same as Black Hammer, and that they deserved it or whatever. So these people are supporting the American government, pointing guns in the faces of black revolutionaries and threatening to charge them with being Russian agents. Right. You know, I mean, it's disgusting, you know, and then they claim they're the voice of socialism. Don't listen to Caleb, who's like actually been doing it his whole life. You know, don't listen to Caleb, who's like, you know, got a record a mile long of believing in this stuff, making sacrifices and taking risks for this stuff. Don't listen to Caleb. Listen to them. You know, they know what it's all about. And none of them support Russia. None of them support Russia. None of them support Russia. Right. You know, they agree. They echo MSNBC. They love the Azov Battalion. They preach that Russia is evil and fascist. But name one communist party in the world, one, that is in power that doesn't support Russia. The communists in Vietnam support Russia. The communists in China support Russia. I was just listening to the UN Security Council meeting today. And at the UN Security Council meeting, they were calling out North Korea for its alleged support of Russia in terms of the military. They're alleging, oh my God, North Korea is giving weapons to Russia. Well, you know why? Because they're communists in North Korea. They're communists in North Korea. And, you know, the Nicaraguans, they support Russia. Venezuela, they support Russia. Cuba, they just built a huge statue of Fidel Castro in Russia. And the Cuban president was just over there shaking hands with Putin. You know, about it. Cuba 100% supports Russia. There is not one communist party that is in power right now that is not more or less supporting Russia. Not one. Not one. But these people, you know, look, I mean, listen to them. Don't listen to Caleb, though. Don't listen to Caleb. You know why? Because they have puppets. You know, they clearly know more than me. They got puppets, you know. They got puppets, you know, look at that. Look at that. Why listen to me? You know, someone who speaks at international conferences, someone who's written many books, you know, they got puppets. Look at that. They got puppets. They got puppets. Look at that. They got their fancy puppets. You know, they must know what they're talking about, right? I mean, these people are vile. These people are vile. I hate them more than anything. They are more dangerous. They are more dangerous than anti-communists, I would argue. by manipulating communism and manipulating Marxism into an ideology that supports their wars, they are more dangerous. Anti-communists are better than these people. Anti-communists are better than these people because at this point, the right-wing anti-communists are against the deep state. These people run interference for the deep state, right? At this point, the right-wing anti-communists are against the wars. These people run propaganda interference for the wars. You know, show me one video that Luna Soy or Vosh or any of them have made supporting the Uhuru movement. Show me one. Show me one video that they've made ever supporting the people of Eastern Ukraine, of Donbass. Show me one time they've ever shown the Alley of Angels to their audience. These people are worse. They are worse. They preach socialism, but they practice fascism. That's what they do. And they are far more dangerous at this point. Far more dangerous than people that are confused. You know, libertarians used to drive me up the wall. But, you know, libertarians, at least they believe in economic growth. At least they don't buy into Malthusianism and the idea that human beings, there's just too many people in the world. We all got to just die, which is what the so-called left preaches, right? At least, you know, libertarians, at least they're against these wars and they don't want to start World War III. The left are, you know, cheering for World War III. You know, I'm glad that I'll be speaking at this rally, you know, on February 19th in Washington, D.C. with a bunch of libertarians because they're actually against these wars. And they're not woke, you know, but this wokest crap, you know, these 3-year-olds, you know, these adult children with their silly puppets who think they're socialists or whatever and are being presented to us by the bourgeoisie as socialists. These people are the main danger. We need to do everything we can to crush these people, right? Because they are the main roadblock to revolution. They are, right? I mean, these people, they psych up their audience to want to murder us. Right? And they're anti-human. They want to drive down the human population. They want degrowth. You know, they are anti-China. They're anti-Russia. They're anti-Cuba. They're anti-Venezuela. They're not calling out the FBI for its political repression of anti-imperialists right now. These kind of people are the main danger, right? My resume as a legit anti-imperialist revolutionary leader from the time of Occupy Wall Street, from the time I was in Cleveland, you know, recording acts of police brutality is a mile long. But these people have worked overtime to convince people, and it works on people. People are convinced, oh, Caleb, well, I saw this video and it said that Caleb's a Nazi. I'm not a fucking Nazi, you idiot, right? And people, person after person, and there's so many of these cowards who they just, you know, oh, well, a lot of people don't like Caleb. I just saw this video. Fuck you. You know, I mean, it's just these people have gone out of their way to try and destroy my life. They have made my wife miserable. They've gone after my wife very viciously and targeted her as an immigrant woman, for Christ's sakes. She's not white. You know, she's an immigrant woman. They've targeted her and tried to make her miserable. They've gone after my family. These people are evil. They are pure evil. And that's what they need to be called out for. They are pure evil. You know, and at this point, you know, we have to recognize this. If we don't recognize that these people are the main danger, these people are the main danger. They are the new Nazis, these people, you know, these fake internet socialists who, you know, they with their gay pride flags and their Black Lives Matter flags, you know, the very same people who, when I was working around police brutality before it was cool, were probably the exact same people that said, oh, police brutality is not real. You know, it's always these people with no intellectual courage, none. They have no intellectual courage. All of a sudden it's cool. It's trendy to talk about Black Lives Matter. So all of a sudden, oh yeah, their police brutality exists, right? You know, all of a sudden it's cool to be a socialist. Oh, so they're a socialist all of a sudden. You know, they're the same people that probably would have called me stupid for being a socialist before it was cool. And even now, they don't have the courage to support actual socialism where it exists in the world, right? These are vile human beings. They are vile scum. They really, really are. They are the foot soldiers of neoliberalism and Western capitalist imperialism. And we absolutely need to recognize them for what they are. They are the main danger. That is what they are. They are the foot soldiers of U.S. imperialism, and we need to oppose them as much as we possibly can. right? And I just want to get this out of my system because I know what actual communism is. I have been to communes in central Caracas. I have been to Nicaragua. I have met on election night in 2018. You know where I was? I was reporting from the headquarters of the Russian Communist Party that took place, and I was standing next to Gennady Zyuganov and Pavel Grudinin, who was the Communist Party candidate for president in Russia. I know what communism is. And I think these people have no fucking clue what they're talking about. They have no clue what they're talking about. They are doing the dirty work of the FBI. They are waging a COINTELPRO campaign against genuine socialists. They are trying to put the Uhuru movement in jail. They support terrorizing black revolutionaries and terrorizing legitimate resistance to the deep state. They are supporters of the FBI. They are supporters of the war in Ukraine. They need to be called out for what they are. They are the main danger. And if you don't have the courage to break with these people, if in your mind somehow, well, I can have 1 foot in Caleb and 1 foot with these people, and I can no, I don't want you here, right? You need to recognize these people are the enemy. These people are the enemy. That is what they are, right? At this point, you know, as I have had many heated arguments with conservatives and libertarians in my life, but none of them have blasted all over the internet that I'm a Nazi and tried to destroy my life. I have had many heated arguments with Republicans and conservatives, but none of them have ever done anything close to what these people are doing, right? I mean, at this point, we just have to realize who the main danger is. BreadTube is the enemy. BreadTube is the enemy, and they must be destroyed. They must be destroyed. I mean, and if you can't stomach that, if you can't swallow that, if that's just too much for you, get lost. I don't want you here, right? I'm done pandering. I'm done chasing after people. I've got a job to do. I have got a job to do, and I'm sorry. The people who have targeted me so viciously, and the people who are supporting U.S. imperialism, they need to be destroyed. And look, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Richard. Oh, you're being unfair. Luna and her husband criticize imperialism all the time. Where's their video supporting the people of East Ukraine, of Donbass, of Lugansk? Show me one video where they have shown the video of the Alley of Angels. Oh, well, they say they're against imperialism in this like vague sense. That doesn't fucking matter. You know, it doesn't matter. Show me one video, Richard, that they have done in support of the Uhuru movement. Show me one video. Did they interview Chairman O'Malley? Did they give a platform to Chairman O'Malley? No, but they've echoed the smears directed at me because I do those things. So don't give me that. They are the enemy. You know, show me one video they've done to support the people of Eastern Ukraine. One. Show me one time where they said they supported Russia in defending the people of East Ukraine. Show me one place. Show me one place where Luna Oy has ever said that she cares about the Alley of Angels. Hold on. Show me one place. You show me one time Luna Oy has said she gives a flying fuck about any of these children. Show me one place that she's done that. There's a war going on between U.S. imperialism and its Nazi proxies and the people of the eastern regions of Donetsk and Lugansk. You show me one place where she's ever said that she supports ending the killing of these children, where she supports the Russians in protecting these people. You show me one place that she's done that. One. You show me one video she's ever made for the Uhuru movement. A group of black revolutionaries got guns pointed in their face. You show me one time. And Richard, this is what's wrong with you, right? This is what's wrong with people like you. Right? This is exactly what's wrong. I'm speaking directly to people who talk like Richard right now, right? Oh, they criticize imperialism all the time. You know what? Yeah. And Luna also, she hates me because I wave an American flag. American flags are racist. It doesn't matter if you criticize American flags. It doesn't matter if you say you're vaguely against imperialism. It doesn't matter if when the FBI points guns in the faces of Chairman O'Malley, you support it. It doesn't matter if you vaguely, oh, I'm against imperialism, but then a war is going on and the people of Eastern Ukraine are being bombed and shelled and destroyed and Russia moves in to protect them and you condemn Russia. vagueness and symbolism. It's all about aesthetics with you people, isn't it? It's all about aesthetics. Oh, American flags are racist. Caleb uses an American flag. Oh, Luna said, quote, I am against imperialism. So she's against imperialism. It doesn't matter, right? You can say, well, I'm against the U.S. state. Well, when they raid the homes of black revolutionaries and you keep your mouth shut and you echo the smears and say they're the same as Black Hammer and support it, it doesn't matter. And that's my point. I am so tired of people making a big deal out of superficial things. Oh, I don't like the American flag. Fuck you. Martin Luther King had an American flag. Would you have supported the police against him? You know, I mean, it's like these people, they make such a big deal. Luna can make such a big show. Oh, I hate the American flag. It's racist. Oh, you know, that doesn't fucking matter. That's not what being anti-imperialist is about. Anti-imperialism is not about symbols. It's about when there's a war going on. What side are you on? And we know what side she's on. It's not the side her government's on either. So don't give me that. Don't give me that. And that Richard comment, I'm really glad you made that comment, Richard, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, she said she's against imperialism. Whoop-de-doo. I don't give a flying fuck what she said. She said she's against imperialism. Oh, that solves it. Oh, well, I'm being unfair. She said she's against U.S. imperialism. Oh, she's against the American flag. She's against state repression. She's against it. But when it actually happens, not only does she not say anything about it, but then she joins the campaign against me, somebody who does actually do something about it. So don't give me that. And that's the whole point. You know, anyone can say they're against racism. Anyone can say they're against oppression. Anyone can say they're against these things. But if you're on the same side as the American government, if you're not sticking up for the Uhuru movement right now, if you're not sticking up for the people of Eastern Ukraine, if you're not defending and absolutely supporting Russia moving in to protect the people of Eastern Ukraine, don't give me, well, they're against imperialism. Oh, blow it out your ass. Seriously, I'm so tired of this. That is exactly what is wrong with these people. That is exactly what's wrong with them. They're right there. You know, Richard, you know, so what if she doesn't actually support black people being terrorized by the American government? She said she's against it. Oh, okay. You know, I mean, it's and it's worse. It's not just that they don't do anything. It's not that they're not doing anything. It's not that they're not doing anything to support Russia right now. It's not that they're not doing anything to support the Uhuru movement. But in addition to that, they then help the government target people like me and people like the Uhuru movement. And that is why they are vile scum and they need to be destroyed. They absolutely need to be destroyed. They are vile scum and they need to be destroyed. And I am so tired of people trying to, you know, both sides it and trying to just say, oh, you know, it's all just a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of opinion. These people are imperialist agents. Vosh, ContraPoints, Thought Slime, all of them. They are agents of U.S. imperialism. They are agents of U.S. imperialism. That is what they are. That is exactly what they are. And they need to be treated as such. They are imperialist collaborators, right? They are imperialist collaborators. Until I see them putting up the Alley of Angels, until they decide that these lives matter, even though they're not on CNN, until they say that these lives matter, I don't want to hear about how they're anti-imperialist. They're not anti-imperialist. If you don't say these lives matter, then you're not an anti-imperialist. Right? And if you don't, you know, Kim Iverson is more of an anti-imperialist than Luna Soy ever was. If you don't support this man right now, and if you're not doing everything you can right now to raise awareness about this man and how they broke into his home and how they're trying to crush a revolutionary black organization right now, you are not an anti-imperialist. I don't care how many times you say, oh, I'm against imperialism on your stream. I don't care about it. And if you're condemning supporters of Russian imperialism, if you're condemning, you know, Nazbols, then you are an agent of U.S. imperialism, and you need to be treated as such. And that's all there is to it. That's really all there is to it, right? And if you're echoing the smears against China, they are agents of imperialism. They are agents of imperialism, right? And that's what they are. Oh, let's hear some more from this Richard guy. Richard, do you want to come on this stream? You want to come on this stream? I'll bring you right on this stream, and we'll have a talk. You want to come on here? You want me to drop the link in the chat? I can do that. Yeah, but hear this. Oh, well, if you don't want to be called a right-winger, don't meet with Dugin. You can support Russia without meeting with Dugin. It's funny, you know, I went on CNN. Did you know that? I appeared on CNN. I never heard any of these people call me out. I went on a right-wing U.S. imperialist propaganda network called CNN. Did you call me out for that? Did anyone call me a Nazi for doing that? No. You know, you know, I've met with all kinds of people in my life. You know, Dugin is a popular intellectual in what country? Russia. And what side is Russia on? The anti-imperialist side. So that's why I met with him. So why, if you're so naive, if you think that somehow, Richard, if you think somehow that's an argument against me, you are not an anti-imperialist. I met with an intellectual in Russia, one of the top thinkers in Russia, a country that is standing with the children I just showed you, that is up against the U.S. imperialists. And if you think that is a legit argument against me, you have no idea what anti-imperialism was about. You have no idea what anti-imperialism is about, my friend. You have absolutely no clue what anti-imperialism is about, right? Tell me, Richard, are you against conservatives or are you against U.S. imperialism? Because, you know, Dugin is very popular in China. He appears on Chinese state media very frequently. Dugin, you know, is a respected intellectual around the world. He's one of the main thinkers of the anti-imperialist camp. He's not a Marxist. He has a different perspective. But the fact that you fixate on Dugin, you just fixate, well, Dugin's right wing, and I heard he's right wing, and I was told that he's like a Nazi, and all my like liberal friends who like vote for Biden said he's bad, and so then Caleb has to be bad because he met with him. Your liberal friends are the kind of people that support murdering children in eastern Ukraine. Your liberal friends are the ones that sat back and did nothing while this guy got his home raided. Don't you get it? You should be against what U.S. imperialism tells you to be for, and you should be for what U.S. imperialism tells you to be against. How hard is this to understand, right? Mainstream media and the woke media is not someone you should be taking directions from about who is to cancel and who shouldn't be canceled. And the fact that you can't wrap your mind around that. It's like, well, Dugin, I heard in mainstream U.S. media he's bad. Well, that's a good sign. That's a sign that he might be good. You know, he's more anti-imperialist than any of the so-called Marxists and leftists in America right now. I'll tell you that much. He's with the people of eastern Ukraine. He's been supporting them. You know, he understands Marxism more than you guys do. And that is classic. That Richard guy. Say some more stuff, Richard. We're going to put you on the screen. I want everyone to see you because you are exactly what I'm talking about. You think somehow what these people do, which is not support Russia, not support the people of eastern Ukraine, not support black revolutionaries who are under attack, number one, and on top of that, run interference, you know, and try to manipulate things for the imperialists. And on top of that, third, try to destroy the lives of people like me who have given our lives, made huge sacrifices for this movement, not just done little stupid puppet shows on the internet, but actually put our bodies on the line. You try to destroy our lives. You are the kind of people who would have gone to lynchings, Richard. You would have gone to lynchings back in the day. In the time of Jim Crow, if there was a bunch of black men who were going to get lynched, you would have gone to it. Well, everyone else was, you know, everyone else did. It was the cool thing to do, right? It's just what you do, right? I mean, he must have deserved it. I mean, all these people can't be wrong. That's what you would have done. You're exactly like that. You're the kind of person who would have returned your friends into McCarthyism. Well, everyone said the Communist Party was bad. I mean, why wouldn't we turn in our friends during McCarthyism? People like you, intellectual conformists, you are just like the people who said that the students at Kent State deserved it. That's what you are, Richard. You think you're a socialist. You're not a socialist, Richard. You are not a socialist. You are going along with forces that speak in the name of socialism and are actively trying to put these people in jail, that are actively trying to destroy my life, and are actively trying to march us into World War III with Russia. You are vile scum, and I don't want you to watch this channel. I don't want you to watch this channel. Oh, but it's okay that they're trying to destroy your life, Caleb. You met with Dugin one time. Fuck you. Get lost. I don't want your subscription. People like you, I don't want to entertain you. I don't want you to read my books. I don't want anything to do with vile scum like you. You are the worst, right? And it is better for you to be 100% against me. It is far better to have you against me than it is for people like you to pretend to be for me. It's far better because people like you who pretend to support me, but get lost, you know? You know, get lost. Go join the Vosh fan club. Get lost. You know, I am done. I am done trying to be popular. I'm really done trying to be popular. I'm not ever going to be popular in a society like this. You know, trying to be popular in U.S. imperialist society right now is about the same as trying to be popular in Nazi Germany. You know, I mean, they're, you know, in Nazi Germany, you know, when they were throwing Jews in gas chambers, you know, it was probably really unpopular to go around speaking up against it. You know, it probably, I mean, people wouldn't like you, you know. Well, right now, America is murdering people in Eastern Ukraine and setting the stage for World War III. It's backing the Saudis to murder the people of Yemen and killing thousands of them. You know, I mean, you know, I'm against it. And if that makes me unpopular, if I'm not cool because I'm against it, I'm so sorry for not fitting in with a satanic evil society that murders people. I'm so sorry I'm not popular in the country that is arming the Azov battalion. Have you seen the videos of what they do, you know, in these areas they take where they tie the people to lamp poles? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I'm not popular with the mainstream media and the social media algorithms that make Zelensky a hero. You disgust me, Richard. You disgust me. You are the worst, right? You are the worst. You are the worst kind. I would rather have you be a full-on anti-communist. I'd rather have you in the Ku Klux Klan than have you be what you are right now, a fake socialist. Well, you did meet with Dugin. Oh, you did meet with Dugin, so it's okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I met with Dugin one time, so that makes it okay. That makes it okay for these people to support U.S. imperialism, for them to try and destroy my life, for them to actively try to put this black revolutionary leader in prison. It's okay for them to, you know, do public relations for the Azov battalion. Well, you met with Dugin one time. Oh, shut up. Get lost, Richard. Get lost, right? It's infuriating. It's utterly infuriating. It is infuriating. We must do all we can to stop World War III. We are on the brink of World War III. At this point, we are on the brink of a new world war. And I want people to think for a moment. Think for a fucking moment, right? What are you going to tell your children? You know, it was 2023 and looked like we were heading into World War III. And, you know, I was against it kind of, but you know, I didn't want anyone to think I was like pro-Russian, and, you know, I didn't want anyone to be mean to me on social media. So I just didn't say anything about it, you know, because, you know, it wasn't cool or anything. And so I just kind of wanted to fit in because I was afraid I might get canceled. And so, yeah, I just kind of sat back. And then when Joe Biden pushed the button and dropped atomic bombs and like 2/3 of the human race died, you know, I mean, that was shitty. I mean, I wish I'd done something about it, but, you know, people might have been mean to me on the internet. You know, people might have been mean to me. Like one of my relatives might have like been mean on the internet. And so I couldn't do it, you know, I mean, is that what you want to tell your children if you survive the Third World War? Is that what you want to tell your children? Is that what you want to tell your children if you survive the nuclear war? Well, you know, I could have done something to try and stop it, but I was embarrassed, you know, and I was scared, you know, I was scared that like people on the internet would like say mean things about me. Look, I mean, they were so mean to Caleb and, you know, they could be mean to me too. So I made excuses to go along with it. And, you know, I mean, you know, it all worked out. I mean, 2/3 of the human race died and there were mushroom clouds everywhere. But, you know, I mean, you know, it was okay. I mean, it's not a big deal. It wasn't so bad, right? You know, people need to think. I hate to get moralistic because at the end of the day, you know, moralistic appeals, we need to think, you know, we need to think in like dialectical materialist ways. We need to talk about the material basis of an anti-imperialist united front, which I've done many, many times on these streams. But sometimes we just have to be moralistic about it. I mean, I'm talking to everyone who's listening right now. We have to be moralistic about this. We are living in a period. We are watching American capitalism collapse. And in order to save its power, they are on the brink of launching a new world war. And, you know, I mean, I'm not here to I'm not here to try and be your conscience and tell you what you should be feeling, but I feel like if you have any moral bone in your body, 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 any sense of morality, any sense of right and wrong, you should be doing everything you can to try and stop World War III. You should be doing everything you can to build an anti-imperialist community of solidarity in America. I mean, it's just basic. I mean, I hate to get so fired up at all of you, but you know, sometimes you do just have to, you know, frame things in a moralistic way. Right and wrong do exist. Right and wrong do exist. And what the imperialists are doing right now is wrong. They have killed millions of people, and they are on the brink of unleashing a disaster. Folks, I got to tell you, okay? I can't tell you everything now, right? Everything can't be on the internet. And that's one thing, you know, we need to, seriously, everything can't be on the internet. Everything doesn't belong on the internet. And some things I can't tell you right now, but I know a lot about what's going on right now. Okay. Watch the Korean Peninsula. Watch the Korean Peninsula right now, folks. I got to tell you, just watch the Korean Peninsula, because that's where, oh shit. If stuff is possibly, watch the Korean Peninsula. Watch the Korean Peninsula, folks. I don't want to start crying here. I don't want to get emotional. Watch the Korean Peninsula. That's what I got to tell you guys. Just watch the Korean Peninsula. The fact that they're already saying, oh, North Korea is giving weapons to Russia, and I mean, watch the Korean Peninsula, folks. The Korean Peninsula is so, so important. The Korean Peninsula is so, so important right now. And, you know, when Donald Trump went to North Korea, that was such a big deal. There was so much hope. And, you know, it's best of times, worst of times. Watch the Korean Peninsula.